We're good.
Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. That's the first one. All right. Hey, so I'm, number one, super psyched about this meeting, probably more than any staff meeting, pre-meeting that we've had in the past. And that's because I have finally gotten something out of my head and into real life, into the real world that I've been wanting to get into the real world for a really long time. And it's a way for us to communicate no matter where I'm at, no matter where you guys are at, because we've got this Google Share Drive thing and these magic electrons that go all over the universe, and how do we turn this ringer off?
I've never done it before.
Are we going to listen to this person? Okay.
Anyway.
Turn the ringer off?
I've never needed to.
Well, the ringer, not the phone. You know, so anyway.
Nope, don't know.
All right, so the key to everything for operating very well and operating very efficiently is communication, and everybody knowing what everybody else is doing. Okay, one of the key things that makes an elite unit, like a Ranger unit or a Special Forces unit, what they are is that they have 100% dissemination of information. Okay, so in a regular unit, that guy, that private that's out there on the wings on the right-hand side of the formation, has no idea what the big picture is. Okay, and he doesn't really even probably know what the whole mission is. He just knows that he's putting one foot in front of the other, and he's walking behind that dude in front of him. Okay, that person, we'll say. And the difference is in a Ranger unit or something like that, that guy actually knows the entire mission, knows where he is on the map. If everyone else gets whacked, he can literally pick up, all the tools and continue the mission, and he'll go after it. And he can because he has the information. Okay, we haven't really had that kind of level of communication in the past. It really bugs me because I have that in other areas of my life. But frankly, there's so much of it, and we're as big and complicated as an organization as we are, that we haven't gotten it out, and that's my fault. And I've had this thing in my head for the longest time that I wanted to create and put on the share drive so that you guys would have access to it all the time and always know what was going on. So we would have that same kind of elite unit functionality where everybody could just pick up the rifle and continue the mission. Okay. I don't always use these military examples, but this one, it just really, in particular, works in this example. Okay? So, the structure for this, right, is, we call it a commander's update brief in the Army. I'm going to call it a crew update brief. Once a month, when we have a meeting like this, where we have everybody all hands on deck, it will become a commander's update brief, where you guys will have slides on this brief. The most somebody will probably have is somebody like Winston, who might have 4, maybe 5 of them. But most people will just have 1, maybe 2, right? Sean will have just one that tells me what he's course setting next and how many routes and boulder problems we've got, as an example. I mean, he's not going to have that much. Other people who are like the general manager are going to have a lot of slides to update all the time. And this can be updated and should be updated and needs to be updated in real time, like as things change. I was thinking that, all slides will be due to be updated by close of business on Wednesday, but you know what? We have these magic electrons that fly through the universe, so there's no reason not to do this in real time, so that anytime I want to, or anytime anybody wants to, down to that Bravo right rifleman on the far wing of the formation, they can go onto this brief and they can find out what's going on. They can even find out what's going on with big picture items like marketing, and they should know that stuff. They should know the talking points on everything. Right? They should be articulate on silks, for example. We all should be. I'm not right now. Okay? And so this is also a place where Norma can record a YouTube video of 5 or 10 minutes and explain what she does to us and to everybody, so that anybody who works the desk or who's on the floor is conversant on that. Right? She'll also have a slide that says what all of her price points are, who her instructors are, what their names are, so that we all know these things. Okay? So what we have to do, though, to make this work, of course, is we all have to look at it. And we all have to look at it every day, every shift. Okay, so on the computer, you guys know that when we log into this computer, when we start the computer, we have these 5 things that show up on the computer. And Winston, if you can show everybody that, that'd be awesome. But on this computer, when you clock in, so this is the first thing you do every day, correct? So right here, this Treadstone Crew Facebook profile pops up. I made this a while back, and on this will have the least that you need to know at any given time for any given shift, and nobody is over there saying, oh, I don't do Facebook or whatever, because it's right here on this computer. So you don't have to have your own Facebook profile. It's right here. We've made one for you. You don't have to be on Facebook. When you're at work, you are Treadstone Crew. This is a person, this profile. It's not a page, it's a person. Facebook hasn't caught on to the fact that I named an inanimate object a person. But in any case, that's who it is. So this is universal. I also did this intentionally so that you guys don't have to check Treadstone Facebooky stuff or text messages when you're not at work. Because believe it or not, I actually take pride in not trying to take over your life when you're not here. If I have something that pops into my head at a random time, I will literally look at when I work and see when you work next, and I'll set a reminder on my phone to say, hey, call Sean on Wednesday at 8 about such and such, because that's when he works next. So I do try to be considerate of that, and I also don't do emergency, jump through hoops kind of stuff. I also pride myself on not being somebody who's running around with his hair on fire all the time. I have a plan. I don't like calling people at the last minute and saying, oh gosh, we got to do such and such because, we dropped the ball on this other thing, right? So now we got to fix it right now. So, hey, how soon can you be at Treadstone, right? That kind of stuff really irks me. So what this allows us to do is communicate while you're on shift. Don't friend anybody on this. It has, I don't know how it keeps happening, but...
Well, I literally just added myself, I was trying to get
that.
that.
Makes sense. All right, so that makes sense. So there, a couple of key leaders may want to be on this. I mean, Galen and I are friends of this page so that we can do this stuff from our phones. But I also don't even, when you're off, I'm trying to be considerate enough. I don't even want you to see posts from here.
Yeah.
This is why you're on shift. This is the idea. So, but here's the kicker on this. You have to check this every day. There's a reason it pops up as one of the 5 things that automatically opens. You can set Internet Explorer to open as many pages as you want on startup. So there are 5 things it opens, and this Treadstone Crew is one of them. Okay, the checklist for the day is another one of them. We've got to use that, right? That has to be done every day. When you read something on this Treadstone Crew, this is literally how I communicate with you guys minute to minute, right? So if there's something that is pertinent to your shift, it's going to go on here, and if you don't check it, you're not going to see it. So you have to see it. Moreover, I need to know that you saw it. Okay, so in the comments right here, on anything that I post, you've got to write can you film the screen?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's in there.
Okay, yeah, so you've got to hit this guy right here and say, Winston read this. A lot of you guys are great about it, but not everybody's doing it. This literally has to be everybody. All right, we've got 22 employees. There need to be 22 comments on everything that I post.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a big deal. Computers handle that just fine. The other one that opens up automatically is that Cub brief. Here's the crew update brief right here. And we're just about to go through it on the big screen so I can orientate you to it. I know it's not a real word, but it's an Army word and it's funny. They do that. But I'm just about to orient you to these slides. There's not very many of them, okay? Relatively speaking. So at first, and this is why it hadn't happened before, at first I really jumped the shark on this and was like, all the stuff that we need to know, all the stuff that I want to know all the time, I want on this slideshow. And it had a ton of information on it. And you guys probably would have been kind of daunted, or worse, if you had seen the product that I was developing. It had a lot of slides in it. They were convoluted. There's a lot of information. But here's the thing. There are certain things that I just need to know right now. I don't need to wait for a big, great product to be developed, a complicated slideshow. For example, that dry erase board that's up there with the number of members that we have, that's what that is. At any minute, I can look at that and know how many members we have, and we communicate that to anybody who walks in the door. Yeah, there are higher tech ways of doing that, but it's actually kind of a tribute to Battlestar Galactica, the president, after the Cylons killed all the humans. She lives and dies by this dry erase board of how many humans are left alive. So that's literally what drives everything she does. So for us, I think we should live and die by that number also, how many members we have. And it changes every time we lose one member or gain members. A week ago, that number was 351. Okay, and 200 members is what's sustainable on my business plan for us to remain alive as Treadstone. So for us to be at 362 is pretty exciting. It also, you don't have the ability to set goals unless you know where you're at currently. So that every business asks itself, okay, what is our primary metric that we measure? What's our main thing that we always need to know? And for us, really, it's how many members do we have? Okay, so that's our most important number. We're going to live and die by it. It's going to be reflected on this slideshow too, but I like for the members to know about it because we're also about to do some incentivized things like referral programs where members will help us grow. I'm about to do a Facebook post that says we're going to order new handholds when we hit 400 members, right? Start posting things that say the more that number grows, the more new stuff you see in here. And I've already got the shop more operational right now, so we can start building more ninja obstacles and things like that with stuff we already have on hand. There's no reason for it not to be happening. Okay, so key point, gotta check the Treadstone Crew Facebook page, gotta check the Cub update brief. Okay, the Cub, that's what we call it. When I say the Cub, that's what it means, the Crew update brief. So anytime after today, after everyone works their next shift and has watched this video, everybody will know what the Cub is. Okay, so that's some lingo, some inside terminology that, I mean, all places have it. You know, Starbucks, I'm sure, has little employee things where they call the mixinator for the lattes or whatever. It probably has a name, right? And that's just this trade thing that they know about. So this is, for us, this is one of those things. Okay, so Winston, are you focused on that thing up there?
Yep, it's in there.
So do me a favor, Sean. Just scroll through them slowly so you can see how many there are. Just as an orientation to it, a little faster than that. A little faster than that. There we go. Perfect. So I just want you guys, first of all, to have an overview of what it looks like. Okay? And we're already at the end. Okay? So go back to slide 1, please. That's the up arrow.
That's cool.
He's a millennial. I know this genetically. All right, so all the way up.
That's it. I pushed up. That's what I did.
Nope, all the way. All the way up.
Up more.
There we go.
There you go.
That. Okay.
All right, so here it is. And I kept it really simple. I showed you the whole thing just so it's always good to know ahead of time. Like when you read a book, for example, it's good to know that whether or not it's War and Peace or whether it's something that you can read in 2 hours. It's good to know that ahead of time. So you're welcome. I made sure that this was not a War and Peace sort of thing. This is the least we need to know kind of a slideshow. It's the skeleton. It will get added to. They'll get more meat that gets put onto these bones, but this is the skeleton with the least we need to know kind of information that we need to start tracking better. With everything that's on here, there are people who know that stuff, but it's not everybody. It needs to be disseminated out to everybody so we can all support what we're doing. For example, one of the things that, off the top of my head, that I'm thinking about right now that we need to add is we need to have the price list up here, so that everybody knows what all of our prices are, including Ninja Camp, including, what's an individual membership run per month? What if I want to pay for a whole year up front? There are certain things that we get questions on. What climbing classes do we teach every week, right? What are the recurring ones that people need to know about and our staff, our crew needs to know about? Okay, so welcome aboard. We always, if you're on the ship, you're on board, right? That's what it means. So next slide. Nice, all right. So this one, there is no way for this one to not be convoluted. This one just has to be convoluted. I just let it go. I'll talk through it. I know, right? There's no way for this slide not to be convoluted. We are a complicated organization. We have the climbing gym, Treadstone Climbing Construction. We do Treadstone Tactical, where we teach tactical teams like Special Forces teams and things like that how to do high-angle work. We do all sorts of things under that guise. We're also a ministry first, so there's the stuff we do in Kenya, for example, the trips I've done out there to that climbing gym we built for Brackenhurst Ministries. I mean, that'll fall under North Star, which is our parent company, and everything else really does fall under North Star because we're a ministry first. But you can see the structure of that, and you can see you've got an executive group, just like any organization. You've got an advisory group, and then you've got the staff officers, and departments. Okay, so this is a good way to organize anything. And this is not something I came up with on my own. The Staff Officer 1, Staff Officer 3, that stuff is standardized in the military, and it's not at all unlike what you see in the corporate world either. Okay, so this is not a militarism, this is just good organizational stuff. And every book you read on organizational excellence or leadership or anything uses a structure just like this. They just might not call it this. Okay? But especially with us being at Fort Benning, it's useful for us to use the standard S shops because it'll look familiar to people who have done this. A lot of our employees who come here are prior service, and even if they're not, it's a good model to use. S1 is personnel. It's anything that deals with people. Okay, your resume, the folder that we keep on file for you with your course setter certification. All that stuff falls under S1, right? All that. S2 is intelligence. For us as a business, intelligence still applies. I mean, our market research is friendly intelligence. Demographic research, like Columbus has approximately 350,000 people in the metro area. That's demographic stuff, that's friendly intelligence. Competition intelligence in the place of enemy intelligence, right? But competition intelligence is, stuff that we need to know about our competition in town. There's a sky zone opening down the street, right? We need to know that. That would be an example of that kind of intelligence. Mm-hmm. So operations is anything we do. That's S3. S4, right? That's supply and logistics. That's inventory on hand. That's how much coffee do we have. That's, hey, we need to get some lumber for these new chin-up bars we need to build. That's S4, all falls under that. S5, PR and marketing. Marketing and PR. Makes sense, self-explanatory. 6 is communications, signals, right? So anything that falls under that, like our website, our phone, if the phone bill needs to be paid, it's going to fall under S6. 7 is training, and training is about to get ramped up big time too. I've got some cool ideas about, training is going to be really cool. And here's the thing, this structure also allows us to implement this stuff that's been in our heads forever. Okay, so now that this stuff lives on the computer, we can do this. S8, that's finance. Not everybody's going to be privy to how much money is in each account or whatever. There's going to be a private link out of this slideshow straight to that just for the executive group. Okay, but there are things from finance that everybody needs to know, like the drawer count. Just a report on that for the week. How accurate was the drawer count? That's an example of that. Next slide, please. But if you notice, all of these S shops have got not just a number, like 3 is operations, 6 is communications. They don't just have a number that's standardized. What I have done is I've given them a logo. It actually helps me when I'm trying to scroll through this slideshow to find the information I'm looking for. But just start thinking to yourself, what is it that, if you're curious about something, or if you need to communicate something to everybody, right? Make sure it's on the proper slide in the proper area. Make sure that if you're talking about, hey, we need, hey, Winston, when you go to Sam's next, we need more coffee Keurigs. Make sure you go to S4 and know what the logo is. It's easy to find if you know what that logo is. You can just scroll through it and find it really quickly. And this one, we start with, if you see the banner up there, up on top, on the slideshow that's internal for the gym, you'll see the gym logo on the right-hand side of the banner. On the left-hand side of the banner, you see the logo for our parent company, North Star. Okay? And start with, we start with the executive group. Yeah, this is my slide. It's pretty self-explanatory.
I know, I'm reading the star date.
I know, right? It's just fun. Roll with it. I love it. Thank you. Work with me. So next slide. All right, here's Galen's. Next slide. Now, notice what happened with the logos up top. Now we're in the specific S shops. Okay? Now we're under personnel. We keep that ship's theme so I don't always have to sound like I'm talking Army, right? The reason we use the nautical themes is for a lot of reasons. Number one, everybody's on board. Everybody's going to the same place. That's what that means. The captain decides where that is, but the captain definitely can't do all those sails on a tall sailing ship by himself. You know, the captain's the best navigator, but he needs like 50 people, you know, to run all that rigging. He literally can't sail that thing by himself. So it's not an either or, it's a both and. We need each other a lot. Most captains were chosen because of their superior navigational skills. That's why you normally got selected to be captain, right? Because reading the stars is really hard. Not very many people could do it. So he's super essential. He is more highly trained than the guy who swabs the deck, okay? Or chips the paint. You chipped some paint in your life? You never did? Did you? Okay, yeah. He was Navy. But, you know, you can train a janitor a lot more quickly than you can train a CEO, okay? So your contribution, yes, we're all equal as humans, but your contribution to the organization, that's what we mean when we talk about how much you contribute to the organization. Everyone does. Everyone does. And everyone's necessary. But that's, you know, but we do have a hierarchical thing. But you see up there on the upper right-hand side, that's our logo for personnel. All those hands on the rope, okay? I found that online, and it was pretty cool because it's forearms too, which I thought was cool because we're a climbing gym. And there's some ripped forearms in the picture, so I liked it. So I chose that for our logo for personnel. And we're all tugging on that rope together. Yeah. I'm just having fun with this. All right, next slide. Number of gym members. Again, we're going to live and die by this number. Some things, when you see personnel or when you see training, they're going to apply to our crew and to our members, right? One of the reasons that we don't say team for team members, for employees, a lot of top flight organizations say teams because we have a climbing team. So it's a little confusing if we say team members. You know, we don't know if we're talking about Amelia or if we're talking about an employee. So we say crew, right? Next slide. Notice the logo changed again. That's the military intelligence symbol. So I stole it. And one of the things that's important when you report on intelligence, there's friendly intelligence and enemy intelligence. So in our case, of course, it's friendly, like demographic research. You see the example up there on the screen. And then you see what the competition is doing. You see it on there. Here's the thing, though, about intelligence. You don't just report, okay? You analyze. So where it says effects up there, intelligence is useless unless you list what the effects of that intelligence are on you and your competition, okay? So you always list the effects. And again, this is just a skeleton. We're going to fill in these slides as we live. All right, next slide. Significant acts. All right, this is anything, like you're out in town and holy cow, somebody's building a new climbing gym on the other side of the city. And we didn't know about it, and you happened to run across it, and they kept it a secret really well, and you know you happened upon it. So this is where you would put that significant acts, okay, and you'd report on it, okay. Actually, well, you know what? I'm on the wrong slide. That's actually the next one. Go to the next one. Next
Salute.
slide. Salute report.
Yeah.
Is that up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually a salute report. That's actually something you observe that you need to report in. Okay, the SIG acts, that's just a significant acts, that's just a list of things that have happened over the last week. Just to use the example from where it comes from, you know, it'd be the last, you know, where were the last 6 IED attacks, you know, from the Taliban in the last week. I mean, that's what SIG acts are, significant acts. So for us, it would be, you know, events that happened around town, stuff that affects us, like the River Fest or something like that. These are significant acts. Okay, next slide. And a salute report too. You would also, if you came back, like if you coached a competition and you coached the team in Kennesaw at Stone Summit, you come back, you would also put in a salute report for that and just say, you know, hey, this is what happened. This is how many people went. We had 5 competitors from the team who competed. You know, Amelia won everything and got the gold medal and, you know, the $50,000 purse, right? So that's where salute report would be too. You come back from something, or if you go off to a training, like a course setter training in Florida, you come back and give me a salute report. You know, hey, I'm a level 2 now. Hey, I can do that. Certifies me to do this, and it's a report so that people know what's up. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the general manager slide. Notice the logo changed again. We're now in the tip of the spear operations. That's what that logo stands for. And this is the general manager's slide, and this is the general manager giving you the overview of the day. Right now I'm the acting general manager. I don't want that to continue for long. It doesn't really work. I'm too scattered. I'm in too many places. We need to replace Ben on this sometime soon because now went off to school in North Carolina. All right, so next slide. Course setting. You know, it can be as easy as just taking a picture of that dry erase board, because you know we don't need to duplicate writing all that information. You know what I mean? Next slide. I think these are pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, what class did we teach on Sunday? What class did we teach on Monday? And how many participants were in it? Right? That'd be good. Next slide. Same deal with silks. And you notice there's a little blurb up there, a little placeholder spot with some text up there where there's we can put a link to a YouTube video where she explains what she does, you know, to us, and tells us who her instructors are and gives us an overview. Like, I would love to have one of those. Go up one, back to the parkour one. I would really love to have one on ninja and parkour. You know, I mean, I understand the difference between free running, parkour, and ninja. I do, but there are a lot of. I could really benefit from like a really thorough brief on a YouTube video of like, you know, hey, this is the history of it. I do know a lot of that, and I do watch a lot of ninja, but you guys know it a lot better. When Cameron starts talking about it, it's like, and he's so excited about it. He sounds like me when I'm talking about climbing, and that's exactly what I'm after. You know, but I would love for somebody to do an overview like that, like you and Cameron and Bradley get together and do like an overview of all that.
I'll
awesome.
get on that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd enjoy it probably.
I certainly would.
That's something that you can really get on social media with too.
Yeah.
Because on Instagram, you
Absolutely.
put a link in the bio for
Mhm.
a Treadstone YouTube page, and as you create a video and post it on the YouTube channel,
Mhm.
then you make a post and say, go to our link in the bio to check out what's going on with silks or
Yeah.
parkour
Yeah.
or Mondays with Mark.
Absolutely, and there's, you know, there's more of this too for the climbing area that describes all of our classes, for example. So next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get down to climbing. There we go. So there's another one for climbing classes. That's also falling under operations. Next slide. Okay, here's a cool thing. So underneath, if you notice, this is the S3-5. So S3 is what?
Intelligence.
Nope.
Operations.
The commanding officer over there in the Army Reserves with the win on operations. Okay, so I know, right? But under operations is the S3-5 shop. It's a subset of the S3. And that's fine. It actually doesn't even bother me now. It's fine. I'll just talk through it. Master of chaos. So S3-5 is future plans. That's what that means. So like right now, I want to move the chin-up bars and the crack trainer over to here so that I can make room for the new boulder that we're just about to build. That's an example of future plans. Okay? That Coke machine, I want to move right here. I gotta get this stuff off the wall so we can have more space in there when I do move that accoutrement over there into that area. And that's going to become a nice training area. And there's reasons for why it needs to be right there, because I don't want to interrupt somebody's traverse, for one thing. If I've got a lot of accoutrement like in the middle of the wall over there with people standing around, you know, learning how to tie knots, let's have them over off in the wings on the right-hand side. But that's a future plan, and that falls under S3-5. Okay? So the way you do this, there is a way to do this. And there's a way to task somebody where communication is clear, right? You can't just say to somebody, hey, bring me a ladder. If you do that, you might end up with a 3-foot ladder when you need to get to the top of the wall and you needed the extension ladder, okay? Or the extension ladder doesn't work and you need a step ladder because you can't lean it on anything, so you need a step ladder, right? So even the simplest tasks need task condition standard specified. The 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, specified. Okay, so on this slideshow, I'm creating a format for you guys to use where it's plug and play, where you can just fill that in. And if you're a leader and you've got to task delegate to somebody something, instead of just like mentioning it and just tossing it out with words into the air, and it either falls to the ground or whatever, it's written, it has a due date, it has specifics, okay? And so this is how misunderstandings happen. And you end up, even with the simplest tasks, somebody will come back with the wrong ladder and you'll be like, dude, what are you thinking? And you're like, well, I mean, I thought you meant whatever. So that whole, you know, I thought you meant, that's what happens in B and C list organizations. Okay, and we want to be an A-list organization. And the way that you avoid that, hey, the phone ringing is a great thing. That's why I always have to remind myself of that, because I hate talking on phones. I hate it. I'd rather get a text any day. You can answer a text in 5 minutes when you can get to it. The phone says, answer me now. I know your hands are full and you're up at top of the tree with a ladder and 3 tools, right? But answer me now. So anyway, So that's, oh yeah, go to the next slide, sorry. So that's how you do it, how to assign a task to yourself and to other people, okay? And this is how you task your subordinates, and this is, moreover, how you organize your own thoughts on something that you want to do. For example, this is the easiest example. Every time I do a flyer for an event or for a guided trip or something like that, I always do who, what, when, where, and why, because that's how you keep from forgetting to put the time that you're supposed to meet at Treadstone on your flyer for the guided trip. You have these 5 W's, and then task condition standard. What that means is you state the task, and then you talk about the conditions. It's like, okay, yeah, I need you to hang a bulletin board. Okay, you're going to find that the bulletin board is on drywall instead of plywood. Okay, that's the condition. So when we say task condition standard, that's the condition, the environment you're working in. You're going to, and you need to know if it's drywall or if it's plywood, because that's going to affect which anchor you hang the bulletin board with. Okay, so that's why condition is important. And then standard, that's you telling that person, hey, I'd like that bulletin board hung. I want people to be able to read the information at eye level, so I want the top of the bulletin board to be no more than 7'3". You know what I mean? So that's the standard. That's what it needs to look like. I want it to be straight. Oh wait, no, I want it horizontal, not vertical. I mean, simplest things, right? You have to specify these things. So this is the way that the military does it, and this is how we make sure that we don't forget anything. We even know how many pairs of socks we're supposed to have, when we're planning the D-Day Normandy invasion, right? That's how planning works. Okay, so what we'll have on this slideshow eventually is we'll have links that go to things like a tasker tracker, so that the general manager can keep track of who's been tasked with certain things. There'll be some rotational things, like we want to weed eat once a week out on the back deck. If you notice, we've started taking care of the back deck area because I'm about to build a deck out there. So I've taken it upon us to keep that grass short, because even if it's not right in our area, it's still going to affect how nice it is to be out there for our members if they look over a body evolution and they've got 3 foot tall grass, right? So that's kind of the next thing. Spring is coming. I want to start pulling people off that trail. We built that information kiosk that doesn't have any information on it yet, so that we can pull people inside with that too.
It's a seating area, if nothing else, and a nice one, and it's covered.
It is, yeah.
It is. So, but this stuff is all electronic, and we'll start linking out of this slideshow. General manager will have a link on that slide, for example, on how to track who's been tasked with everything, right? And this will be a cut and paste thing where you can create a tasker sheet where you can just, if you need somebody to, move the chin-up bars, you can write that up on a tasker sheet and then print it or send it to them. And then, that gets tracked. I mean, you give that a number, that specific tasker 1 alpha, right? And then you start tracking it. Did they meet the deadline, right? Did it get done by the time that it was meant to be done? Okay, a great example of why this is necessary is like the pads at the bottom of the warp wall. Okay, for the longest time, I just said to the random 3 people who were standing around, hey, yeah, we really need to do that. We got to gather these pads that are all over and pull them down here and put it down there. Well, unless you point at somebody specific and say, hey, Sean, by close of business on Thursday, 5 o'clock, we need to have that done, and it needs to be with these mats and whatever. Unless I do, so that's a failure on my part. Unless I do that, I can't hold anybody accountable for whether or not that got done. And look how long it took to get it done. Okay, and that was, that was something that we needed to have happen just for liability exposure. You know what I mean? So that's kind of an important thing. So those trackers with the deadlines and everything, that's what that's meant to solve, and it does solve it, and it does work. We just haven't been using it. Next slide. Med section. And this is kind of, I don't want to, you can have another logo even under the operations where you're talking about which operations are we talking about. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I don't want these slides to end up looking like a North Korean general or something, but, we can have things on it that, describe more information. And so that Red Cross logo, that's pretty universal. I don't think I have to explain what it is, so that's why it's up there. All right, next slide. So supply and logistics, that's the quartermaster symbol up in the upper right-hand corner. Supply and logistics, pretty self-explanatory. We do need to have inventories. We need to know how many ropes we have and when they were purchased. We need to know how many harnesses we should have on hand, so we know people walk away with them. You know, we haven't been doing that stuff either. Okay. Next slide. Same deal, quartermaster. So Sam's shopping list, just a quick, easy, low-hanging fruit example of what we need to put on this. Next slide. All right, PR and marketing. Just, you know, what we need to do next. This could also be under future plans, but this is future plans for PR and marketing. So there is a little crossover in these slides. I mean, you could think to yourself how you would file certain things under what, but it gives you a great starting point for you to be in the right place, because there's a lot of voluminous information that's out there, and this just helps us sort it. Exactly like hanging files and folders do. All right, except completely different. Next slide. Signals. You like that, Sean? Thought of you and I put that there. All right, so what do we need to do next? Hey, Lee and I are talking, the marketing guy who restructured our pricing, our membership pricing and all that kind of stuff. Redid the website with ClickFunnels, which made it more interactive, and it's a lot more sophisticated than just a website, which a website is just an online brochure. ClickFunnels actually pushes people into sales funnels where there's a call to action at the end, and everything ends with a buy it now button, right? That's easy. So that's what our website does now. So the same guy who brought us that has really helped us with that membership number, by the way, and really helped us get through last fall in a way that we've never gone through a fall season before without it being too lean, because those recurring payments happen all year, right? That same guy, he and I are exactly on the same page. One of the things that I wanted to do next is YouTube videos and telling the story of Treadstone, and doing videos on Facebook Live, which we'll get to where it works on my personal profile. I can make Facebook Live work on my personal, so I know we can make Facebook Live work. The Treadstone Facebook page, I guess we can do Facebook Live there. But everything in marketing nowadays, they talk about tell your story. And people want to connect with you and your story. Little like bios of our favorite members, right? Talking about, hey, why do you Treadstone? Hey, it's a verb. It shows that name. Right? Before that, names should be descriptive of what you do. You know, so that's a whole campaign. You can go around with your phone and just put your phone in somebody's face who agrees to it and says, hey, Scott Rosales, why do you Treadstone? You know, and he's got a little freaking 30-second answer to that. And those are popular. I got another one in my head where, our members, anywhere they run across somebody in the city, right? It's like People That Rock. They went to Krispy Kreme and they got great service at Krispy Kreme because Miss Dorothy there or whatever was awesome. She's one of those old ladies who calls you baby, or whatever, and she just made your day, right? So you can say, hey, Dorothy, she's a person that rocks. And you can put that on our Facebook page. And that starts to circulate. And that's positivity that, is pretty cool. Me or Sean, Parkour Sean, talking about our sport and what it is and like what occurred to you today about parkour, right? I mean, you might have just walked in and you're working on this new trick or whatever, and you want to tell the membership about it. People connect with that stuff. So we're going to start doing those YouTube videos like that and the Facebook Live stuff. It's going to be really cool. In addition to that, you can really crank that up and do a reality show. I think we have a fantastic reality show. I think we could be the next Duck Dynasty if we want to. Winston's got the hair for that already.
Got it.
But we're an interesting business. Those reality shows about businesses, it's always like those dudes who do custom aquariums all over the world, right? It's not freaking steel mills and wood mills or whatever. It's, hey, we're gonna make a bunch of 2x4s. I mean, that's not really interesting to people. But we build climbing walls, and we run a climbing gym and a Ninja Warrior gym, and that's really interesting to people. But we can still talk about business through these really interesting things. It's kind of like the same deal with I'd like to see us go into schools and talking about math. It's like, hey, you don't think you're going to use geometry or trigonometry? We build all these things mostly with triangles, right? These climbing walls. Here's a cool application of math. And so now we're good guys around town because we're going talking to school kids about math. And hey, here's a cool way to like math and be psyched about it. So these are just things we can do. But Lee is on the same page. And my favorite podcast is storybrand.com. Well, second favorite is storybrand.com, where Donald Miller talks about how you tell your company's story through your marketing. And that's the best way to do marketing. It really is. And there's we're gonna have some sales training coming up too. When we get to S7, you'll see that. But sales training is something that needs to happen for people. Not everybody here knows how to sell, right? I mean, we have a great crew that gets high marks from our membership and everybody who visits because you guys are friendly and know how to talk to people. And we do have that Ritz-Carlton, Disney, Chick-fil-A thing happening for us. And everyone knows it. I hear that all the time. I mean, the owner of Launch just told me the other day, too. She was like, yeah, you've definitely achieved that. You've got a real cult following at Treadstone. That's the way, I call it a tribe. I mean, I don't like the word cult, but
To each his own.
yeah, I mean, still, it's a compliment that I like. And especially for somebody like her to notice. It's cool. So, in any case, next slide. So, yeah, next slide. We don't really need that right now. So, yeah, training. I didn't even say sales on here. But, oh, yeah, so while we're talking about sales, I wasn't finished with that thought. We do have a really good thing going with, you guys talking to members and stuff like that. But not everybody is trained to, when they're sitting on this computer, when somebody's checking in and they're buying a day pass, you're like, oh, hey, did you know that you can buy a membership and we've got a special running for the next 3 days? Not everybody's, it's called upselling, right? That's why when you go to a restaurant, they say, oh, would you like an apple pie with that, when you go to McDonald's? Not that I do that. I actually don't. But that's upselling. They hadn't thought about the pie, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, heck yeah. So now our revenue goes up because those things add up. Same deal here. I mean, if they don't, if they come here and they are just wandering around the gym trying to find boulder problems, that's great and all, but say to them, well, hey, did you know we do an orientation to climbing class? Did you know, did you want to learn how to belay? We do that on Friday nights. Now you're upselling classes. So we need to be, every single person we talk to, that's an intentional thing that you talk to them about that. Okay? So that's under S7. So S7 is training. It's got a nice little toolbox up there. That's where training is your toolbox, right, for your job. And so that's why I chose that logo. But you know that we've got these different pillars of training. Like up here, we got floor, desk, ninja parkour, silks, construction. We also have a few others. Core setting, I consider that to be not just floor, it's a whole other venue. It's a whole other column of training. We also have other columns of training with like corporate facilitation, team building, right? Somebody who's trained to do that is another pillar of training. And the reason I say pillars is because think of training as like these, supporting columns for what we do, right? And each one of those supporting columns has third class, second class, first class. Okay, so you guys have heard this before. A floor 3 is somebody who can belay for a birthday party and who knows how to talk to our customers and who knows how to risk manage kids, right? And not sound like a creep when he's talking to 18-year-old girls. Okay, that's like the minimum level of training that we need to operate in the gym for a floor person. So that's a floor 3. That's how we've described that forever. So we call that floor personnel third class, right? So second class, somebody who can teach the top rope belay class and knows some climbing culture and more than just a beginner climber that could be a third class person. First class can teach the lead climbing class, can talk all kinds of culture, can coach people in climbing, knows techniques, knows 30 different techniques that he or she can really get into the weeds on with members. Okay, that's all part and parcel of a first class. So that's just an example. The desk, third class person, they can sell a drink, they can check in a member. Second class person can build a new family membership in the computer. A first class has manager permissions and can create a new profile for an employee or can give you a raise. You know what I'm saying? In the computer. So all of these levels, and we've got 6 or 7 different pillars, right? That each have 3 levels, and what I would like to do is base promotions, not promotions, but pay raises on your achieving third class to second class to first class in each of these 6 or 7 pillars. Okay, so that would be pretty significant, and it encourages cross training. That's the other hallmark of a really high functioning organization, is that cross training. That's the bread and butter of a Green Beret team, is cross training. Okay, we've all got different job skills, but we all cross train each other all the time. The medic is always, anyway, I could get on, but I'm not going to. All right, next slide. Finance, okay, so you've got a treasure chest up there, keeping that nautical theme, right? And Treadstone Tactical, the ship becomes a pirate ship, by the way, so that's kind of cool. With black sails and everything. But yeah, finance. So not everybody needs to know how much money is in the bank account for Treadstone or Treadstone Climbing Construction, or how much a TCC client who we just built a climbing wall for still owes us, right? Got an outstanding check for $21,000 from Durham, North Carolina. Not everyone needs to know that. So some of that stuff, there'll be a link from this to a slide that only Galen has got permissions to, and myself, and maybe one or two others. But cash drawer counts throughout the week, whether or not those are on. I just threw that up there as a placeholder, just because there is some kind of information. I don't even know how I want to sort that information, but that's where it would go. That's where it lives. So I want you guys to be oriented to where it lives. All right, next slide. Next slide.
Other way.
Sorry. Yeah, see, so yeah.
You're good, Alan.
Yep. One more. And that's it, right? And one thing too, if you notice these hyperlinks at the bottom of the screen, those hyperlinks were not on the other ones. Okay, those are not on the other ones. Oh, and actually hit escape. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Those hyperlinks were not on the other slides, but one of the things that's going to happen, let me have this for a second. One of the things that's going to happen is you are going to, I want to show you one other thing too. Yep, there we go, finally. Those hyperlinks will take you to like our staff training section, the tasker form, so that you can delegate to people easily, and then the tasker tracker for the managers, so that they can track what things have been tasked to people and whether or not they got completed. Okay, but one of the things, if you'll focus on the big screen up there, Winston, in this area